Hello, my name is Dr. Maya Byfield. My business is The Phenomenal STEMist. I'm so excited to be here in Orange County because it's where I live. I live in Apopka, Florida. And I decided to make this business because I saw a need for underrepresented students to be successful in STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, math. And the best way I can do that is just provide products for parents to prepare them, whether it's a book or online STEM camps or just video podcasting. My goal is to transform this community, especially those who are underrepresented. And the way to do that is to help parents understand their children's minds and basically develop them at different stages of their lives to be prepared for a successful STEM career. Thank you so much. That's why I'm here. Oh, I just jumped on the put the lighting on. Hey y'all, how are you? It's the phenomenal STEMist. Unfortunately, because of a issue at home, that don't sound right. Issue at home. My friend Brandon can't make it today. And but he sent me his notes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read his notes. Shout out to those of you who came on looking for Brand the Man. And he was gonna this it was supposed to be the last hurrah. Like, it was such a great experience that we've had all quarter long. And now we're in the first week of December. And first Mondays are always real estate Mondays. Unfortunately, Brand can't be here tonight, but he sent me his notes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to read his notes, and then I'm going to sign off. Sign off. So, what are Brandon's top 5 places to shop for real estate in Florida? Top 5 places to shop for real estate in Florida. Oh, he's still in the process of sending me notes. So, hopefully by the time he finishes sending me all the notes, I will be it'll be in time for me to read it. So, the top 5 places to shop for real estate in Florida are number 5. Number 5 is Lakeland. Lakeland. Lakeland, Florida is the number 5 place. Why? Why is Lakeland, Florida the number 5 place? When I look at the places that he sent me, he showed me that the average home price for Lakeland is $290,000. $290,000 for a home price. So where is Lakeland? Lakeland is like in between Orlando and Tampa. In between Orlando and Florida. So it's the central. All the stuff that he's given me, all the top 5 places that he's given in Florida are all in the central Florida area, the I-4 corridor. Lakeland. What is the reason why Lakeland is the top 5, number 5 place to shop for real estate in Florida? And the answer is, this is according to Brandon Ford. I am not a real estate advisor. I just play one on social media. I don't even play one on social media. That's why I have the experts come on. He says it's because the biggest dip in home prices has occurred in Lakeland, Florida. The biggest dip in home prices has occurred in Lakeland, Florida. So you're going to basically get the best bang for your buck. You'll get the best bang for your buck if you buy on the low. The beauty of it, he says, just like I thought, Lakeland, it's close to both Tampa and Orlando. So remember, the reason why I want to buy, is not because I want a new house. I don't want a new house. I want a rental property. Right? I don't need a new house. It's just me. You heard what Brandon said. If you can't find Bay, find a building. If you can't find Bay, find a building, right? To pay your bills for you. So a rental property for $200 and something $1,000, let's say you get 3 doors for that, and it's in between Tampa and Orlando, so these big cities, you'll get great rental income, right? And rising rental prices is for the benefit of the landlord. Okay, so number 5, Lakeland. All right, top 5 Brandon Ford's before closes, what you call them. Top 5 places to shop for real estate in Florida. Number 4. Number 4 is Ponciana. Ponciana. Why is Ponciana the number 4? This is what he says. This is what Brandon. I'm just reading the notes. I'm reading notes here, guys. He's not here to be here today, but he's at least giving me the notes. Ponciana has the biggest construction boom in the area in the last 5 years of any city in Florida outside of Miami and other South Florida cities. Biggest construction boom. Now those of you who you may not know about like Build Better Act, but the Buy Build Back Better Act or something like that was signed in for President Biden. And let me look that up. The Build Back Better Act. Build Back Better Act. A lot of money was put into construction and energy and like all of these in very, very important I don't know, things. It's $100 billion. No, it's probably more than that. The Build Back Better Act was, let me see, a bill introduced by the 117th Congress, $3.5 trillion. Following negotiations, the price was lowered to $2.2 trillion. Do you know how much money has been put into this act? It is so important that you seek out ways to benefit from this act, whether it is to have jobs in construction, jobs in like those of you who don't want to go to college. There's some opportunities in HVAC and construction, especially after the 2.2 trillion dollars. Businesses, like, have you started your own business that can, I'm sure they have minority contracts. I'm side pushing, like, we need to consider the benefits. What are some benefits from this Build Back Better Act that is, will be beneficial to rental properties, to constructions, etc., etc. Infrastructure. It's basically an infrastructure bill. Um, But I'm sure there's some role in rental properties in it. I'm sure there's something that has to do with rental properties. Some kind of tax break, something. You learned last week from Jelani. Know the rules. Find out what the rules are. All right. So, as I said before, Ponciana is the biggest construction boom in the area. Okay. The problem with Ponciana is this is what Brandon says, that traffic is a huge problem, but there's a collaboration to build a new I-4 extension into Ponciana. That new I-4 extension, I'm telling you, construction boom. Like, there $2.2 trillion is being poured into the economy, specifically in relation to infrastructure. So if I were you, I would somehow find out what kind of businesses, what kind of benefits I can get and be a part of that bill. Okay. He says because of that I-4 extension in Ponciana, which I'm sure they're going to be getting some money from the Build Back Better Act, that could be a game-changing opportunity for the city, as it will be easier for patrons to commute in and out of the city. And therefore, you get more renters, more rental property benefits. So, we're talking about Brandon's top 5 places to shop for real estate in Florida. Number 5, he said, is Lakeland, Florida, which is between Orlando and Tampa. And number 4 is Ponciana, which is just south of Orlando. All like there are a lot. So far, it's all in my neighborhood. That's what he's saying. Number three. I don't have the drum roll. Number 3, Brandon says he thinks the number 3 place to buy and invest real estate is Orlando. It's like, I already know. It's like, I already know because I live here. Most city projects happening then in any city is on the list. You think Florida attractions, prices have slowed down, right? It's still a little heavy in price, so it's not the best, but it's still low compared to South Florida. I've seen some townhouses going for rent for South Florida that's insane. The beauty of Orlando is that there's this new transportation system that can take you straight from Florida, from Orlando to Miami. So anytime you have a system change, transportation wise, that's always valuable for real estate. Easy commuting is what makes one of the major things makes cities valuable. Ease of commuting. All right, number two, guys. We're talking about Brandon's top 5 places to shop for real estate in Florida. 5 is Lakeland, 4 is Ponciana, 3 is Orlando. That's all Central Florida, where I am, within hour and a half of where I live to 15 minutes. Number 2 is Tampa. Tampa, Florida is a really good place to shop for real estate in Florida. Earlier in the year, he says that it was leading in terms of price value drop. If you are an investor property person, like if you're trying to not live there but just trying to rent, buy something and rent, he says, this is what Brandon says, the city has it all. It has reduced reasonable pricing. It has large public investment into the city, their roads and things like bridges, attractions. They have their own levels of attractions. They have the beaches. They have the West Side beaches, right? Close to the water. So all types of renting happens in Tampa. So the greatest form of renting, whether it be long or short term, is Tampa. That's why Tampa is the number 2 place in the city, in the state of Florida, that he thinks is the number two place to shop for real estate. It has it all. All right. Number one. Number one. What is the number one city to invest in real estate according to Brandon Ford? B Ford closes. I don't know who's watching with me. I see a couple of y'all watching. Number one, hands down, he says. This is what he says. He says, hands down, St. Petersburg, Florida. That's right next to Tampa. It's on the west side, about 2 hours from Orlando. He says, hands down, St. Petersburg, Florida is the best city to invest, aka buy a rental property. Why? Due to, this is what he says, a growing population of young people moving there, right? A lot of restaurants there. It's close to the water, right? It has a revitalized downtown area. A lot of citywide events, not like where I live in Apopka, which is I get excited off of a I get excited off of a I get excited off of a can't even think about it right now. Chipotle just moved a block away from me. I used to have to go all the way to 436 in Apopka. Now I only got to go 2 blocks down. And I was excited off of that. That's how exciting Apopka is. But not so for St. Pete. St. Pete has everything. It has events. It has public roads improvement projects. He says Viva la St. Petersburg. That's I'm just it's what I'm reading the notes. I'm reading the notes. I so appreciate this, Brandon, for you taking the time to just, even though you couldn't make it out tonight, to just take some time to write it out for me, because he really, really cares about the people. He really, really cares about helping people gain wealth through his number one way of gaining wealth. He's a believer in the real. He's a believer. Brandon is a believer in the real. If you want to reach him, you go to b4closes at gmail, or you can call him at 305-305-0105. Listen, he's a believer in the real estate. So the water, the proximity to South Florida, the proximity to Central Florida, just 20 minutes from the water, you know, he's a fan of St. Petersburg. He believes that St. Petersburg, Florida is the number one place to invest in real estate for rental property. So, just to remind you, it's going to be short tonight because I'm not going to belabor any point, because um, this is not my skill set. Brandon says the top 5 places to shop for real estate, especially investment real estate, is number 5, Lakeland. Why? It had the biggest dip in prices. So if you want to get a cheap deal, go with Lakeland. But it's in between Orlando and Tampa. It's not. It's like it's not rural, but it's all right, right? But people have places to stay, and they can easily commute by driving to either Orlando or Tampa. It's a good rental property place, and it's good in price. Number 2, Ponciana, which is just south of Orlando, maybe 45 minutes from Orlando, right? It has a big construction boom. They're investing a lot in infrastructure down there. Okay. It's better, and it's much more like just like Miami. So if you think how Miami has exploded, those of you who live in South Florida and you're like, oh my God, this place used to cost this much and now it's like $1 million. Well, there is potential for the same thing now to invest in Central Florida, for it to be 5-10 years from now, the same situation. Right. So Ponciana over the last 5 years has had a huge boom in construction. They're trying to renovate the I-4 corridor, the I-4 area. And if they actually do an extension for the I-4 there, it's a game changer, he says. It's a game. Transportation is it. As long as you have an in and out, an easy access in and out to a city, and you get in before that easy access is created, that's the boom. That's the boom. That's what he says. That's why it's number 4. That's why it's number 4. if the I-4 extension gets going. Number 3, Orlando. This is where I live. Well, I live in a suburb of Orlando, Apopka, but I love Orlando. It has everything. It has Disney. It has attractions. I love it. It's central. It's not to the east. It's not to the west. Hurricanes less likely to damage things. I'm just a fan of Orlando area. It's not the greatest opportunity in terms of cost because so many people have been buying here. The prices are rising, but it's still affordable. It's still a good investment to make now so that in the future um it'll be booming even more. And don't forget the Bright Line that has been built. It's high speed rail straight from Orlando to South Florida. So that is a transportation thing. And increased transportation is increased valuability to a city. Number 2, Tampa. Number 2, Tampa. It used to be number 1. But it's a huge investor property place. There's a lot of public investments in the roads in the areas downtown. It's close to the water. It's a good city. It's good for rental properties. Tampa's a good place for rental properties. So it's a great choice for investors. And number one, he thinks St. Pete because it's a little newer than Tampa. It's just as close to the water, if not closer. It has a more revitalized downtown. There's a lot of improvement projects for the transportation. So he thinks St. Petersburg is number one. Guys, thanks for watching. Listen, don't forget. If you want to talk to Brandon, you can call him at 305 0105, or you can email him at bfordclose, at gmail.com. And please don't forget my book. It is on Amazon now. Make it a Christmas gift. Make it a Christmas gift for 20 kids. And if you want it signed, just talk to me. Talk to me. I'll sign it and give it to you in person. All right. It's been great. Thank you so much for joining. I'm a phenomenal STEMist. Good night, everybody.